Hello and welcome back to the British Football Guy. This is a Getting Paid to Poop episode, and today, while you sit on the ball, think about college football. So, the college football season is nearing ever closer to us, and what has been going on the last, year, 12 months, has been nothing short of the college football version of the fall of the Soviet Union. There is so much going on. To kind of set the scene of the trilogy, we're going to break the trilogy down into how we can improve college football in regards to its format, the structure, playoffs, our opinion on people on college students getting paid, and all of the above. But first, as this kind of getting paid to poop episode is only going to be about 10 minutes, I just wanted to set the scene for what's to come. So today there was big news that UT and OU announced plans to move away from the Big 12 and join SEC. Look, college football for me, I only started getting into it, maybe a few years ago. My wife went to ASU, and obviously they have a big footballing population. They do all right. But the first game I ever remember, or my first exposure to college football, was in Houston, probably within the first few months of living there. And I saw a grown man in his 50s getting lunch with his university polo on. Now, in the UK, you'll have a uni or college sweater, and then it goes up in your attic, and you never see it again until you show your grandchildren, oh, this is when I went to college, and it was around Woodstock. It just doesn't happen in the UK. So I was actually really surprised to see a grown man wearing a college uniform at his age when he could clearly afford other clothing. But that was probably actually one of the biggest culture shocks of moving to the States, was the amount of prestige and homage that these individuals or Americans have to their college teams. I get it now. I do get it now. I am an adopted or fan of ASU, and I have ASU clothes, and also I like UT because I lived in Austin for a long time, and they don't have sports teams until recently, and I still wouldn't class Austin FC as a sports team. So look, I do love college football, and my real affinity came similar to fantasy football for the NFL. It was to do with money and betting, and one of my good buddies, TJ, who's been on the show for the drunk episode, he taught me that you could actually win quite handsomely off doing a few parlays on random teams, and it makes your Saturdays fun. So that was going to be my introduction to college football, and now I do look forward to August and seeing the teams come out. I have no idea really about the players. I do try and follow it, but there's just too much going on to make it even sense of it. And even with the draft coming up, did I really know about Jamar Chase or some of the other kind of like Waddle coming out? I had no idea. But for this year, like I said, it's like the fall of the Soviet Union. The Berlin Wall's coming down in the sense that players are now getting paid. That's huge. We're going to dissect it a little bit more. What does it mean? A little bit scary for some 18-year-olds that could be earning millions of dollars and not knowing how to cope with that and that attention. So that'll be interesting for the fallout of that, but it has been coming. And, these universities, they print money. It's insane. I'll talk to Ben about it when he's on the next episode. But we talked about, I think, UT and I can't remember, something Memorial Stadium holding like 110,000. That's bigger than our national stadium. Texas A&M in College Station, a town of like 45 people, has a stadium that can hold like 120,000. It's just insane. And these are beautiful stadiums. So there's so much money. There is actually a South Park episode that does go into how they treat college players and basically get them for free. So, about time that these players get paid. Happy for them. Hope the guys keep their heads. But the big news, UT and OU looking to come out. And look, as anything in sports and football, it's all about money. And this is what they're looking at. They're looking at kind of TV rights. They're taking their fiercest rival with them, or, vice versa. The only thing that they're probably going to agree on is going to a better league. But what does it do? Does it cannibalize the Big 12? Well, yeah, of course it does. But what would the Big 12 do? They'll probably take from a different conference. I'll be honest, I look at some of, I think it's like the the West Mountain League, where you've got teams like Tulsa and CSU and teams like that, and nobody gives a crap about. You could pull from there, but we're going to talk about Pro Rel and just reorganizing, because it's just a fucking mess. When we look at playoffs as well, how the 6 teams that get into the playoffs, so they rank 25, and the 25 ranking is based on, from my understanding, people just voting on how well they did, rather than have like an NFL kind of record, or just like a league standing of how many you've won. So it's an absolute mess, and it all comes down to money and how TV rights were made. But yeah, so I think it's the time that, if the Soviet Union is falling, let's just create a new canvas. What would it be like if we did put some of the best teams together? So with UT and OU, they are going to go more than likely to the SEC. So then you've got Alabama, you've got Auburn. I was going to say Vanderbilt. I know they're in there, but who cares? But Florida, LSU, it's just insane. Everybody's just going to be watching the SEC, and TV is just going to be that. So what does it do for the other leagues? They don't get as much money. They're not as popular. So then you just create this complete bottleneck at the top, where all the top talent goes here. And again, maybe do we want that? Or does it then just take all the excitement away from these other teams? So I think something has to happen. I don't think what UT and OU is doing is right. I think if I look at the conferences, the SEC and the Big 12 and Big 10, they're the top 3, and then you've probably got Pac-12. There was even comments of saying that if the Big 12 did lose UT and OU, they'd look at Cincinnati and ASU to come over. So I'm sure talks are in the background all the time with this. But yeah, I don't think UT or OU is going to be good for the college football game. I'd like to see how they perform against like Texas A&M again and LSU. It would be a neutral fans kind of hope. But yeah, a lot going on there. It's a bit of greed. That's all it comes down to, is just money and greed. But moving on, want to talk a little bit about the playoffs. So, they have been talking about extending it from 6 to 16. This is a good move. If you did this, I don't think there'd be as much need for UT and OU to move to the SEC, because it's going to open up not just bowls, and I never really understood bowls, just how you can play, because they don't really mean anything, because all the players that are hoping to go to the NFL, they don't play in them. I remember when UT beat Georgia in New Orleans. They should never beat them, but the best players were sitting out just because they were wanting to be drafted, and completely understand. So that system doesn't work either. But if you do extend the playoffs to 16 teams from 6, that is definitely a step in the right direction, and you just take the top 16 teams there. Gives more excitement to those teams like UCF, Indiana, Pitt, those teams that could kind of creep in. ASU, every so often they creep into the top 25 as well. So I think that's a step forward, but would love to know your thoughts on UT and OU moving over to SEC. Would you like to see it? Would you not? Would you like to just destroy it all and start fresh? Let's bring down the Soviet Union of college football. That's it for our Getting Paid to Poop episode, a really quick one. But join us again next week, where we are going to be going into setting the scene on college football. We're going to have like betting guides, players to watch out for. Looking forward to this trilogy. Please subscribe to the podcast, and we will see you in our next episode. Many thanks.